Hello everyone, and welcome to my little discussion on Armello. When reviewing some games, I feel that the written word can be somewhat inadequate. Describing a visual medium with text alone can sometimes do the subject of the review an injustice. As such, I have made this little video to accompany my full review of Armello. So what is Armello? Armello is an indie game developed by the Australian game developer League of Geeks, who are based in Melbourne, in Victoria, and was released on the 1st of September, which was just a few days ago. Whilst it was available in early access, I opted not to look at it until its full 1.0 release to allow for a clear, fresh look at the product, and what I found was a well-polished game that deeply impressed me. Armello was made available to me on the behalf of the developer to review, and as such, this is just a bit of a disclaimer to say that I didn't pay for the game. It was provided free of charge for the purposes of a review. So when writing the review, I found that there were a number of things I wanted to better demonstrate through video and to properly do them justice. Amongst these were the combat system, the excellent art design, and the little niggle that I found in the multiplayer. So let's just jump straight into it, and we'll start off with the art. While reviewing Armello, I found that its overall aesthetic was really good. It was really great, filled with colourful, charming designs that are absolutely brimming with character. Amongst the murky greys and browns that permeate so many of the big titles these days, Armello is absolutely a breath of fresh air artistically. Of particular note is the great character design and the great card design. As you might note here, the majority of the cards, as well as being beautifully designed, are subtly animated. This takes the wow factor of the great artwork to a higher level, and as you may note, should you hold the cursor over a card, that card's artist is actually credited with that. I think that's just great, because that's praise where praise is deserved. Now, while the appreciation of any piece of art is subjective, and I entirely concede that point, it is possible to look at its execution from a more objective standpoint. The art of Armello isn't just beautiful, but also is executed perfectly, and that's something I can really praise it for. While I personally really like the aesthetic, and that's subjective, I also can see that it's been executed very well, which from a reviewing standpoint means I can objectively say that the artwork is good. The combat system is another element of Armello that deserves to be demonstrated in video form. While relatively simple in concept, it is delivered attractively and feels solid. By incorporating equipment and playable cards into a fairly basic premise of dice rolling, as well as adding a number of variable dice rolls that aren't exactly conventional, League of Geeks had added a level of strategy to a chance-based system. On top of that is the rot system, which also impacts upon the combat. The rot system is an extra mechanic which deals with the corrupting element of gameplay, which can be seen by the little swirl in the circle on the bottom right. This next battle between the king and another character demonstrates rot battle. The character with the highest rot takes all of the rot points from the other character and adds them to their dice roll, adding thus more attack and defense chances. Also, it makes the dice that is the rot roll, one side of the dice, count as an attack rather than just being a nothing element. And as you can see with this battle, which features the king, the titular antagonist of the game, and Brune, one of the other characters, you can see how much power the rot can grant. There are of course downsides to the rot as well, in that characters will lose a hit point at the start of every day that they have rot. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but it's a great gameplay element that really shakes up the combat. The combat system of Armello is also really good, with an attractive stage that plays host to interactive dice that look great when rolled and feel really solid when rolled, and character animations that are really entertaining and a little bit comical, and sound effects that are extremely satisfying. Once more, the League of Geeks in this game have sort of presented a really polished feel. The combat's well thought out, it's well fleshed out, and while not particularly complex, it keeps the player entertained, keeps them alert and focused on the game. We've now come to the whingy part of the video, I'm afraid. So the one big gripe I have with Armello is about the countdown timer during the setup of the multiplayer matches. While I understand the necessity for such a system, particularly when matchmaking with people you don't know, in Armello it feels a little bit too rushed. Almost to the point where you can't be remotely indecisive when picking a character. This is particularly annoying when you're playing with friends, maybe chatting over Skype at the same time. And so all I'd suggest is maybe make 60 seconds instead of 30, because I mean, I got indecisive with one match and ended up with a character I didn't want to play, and that's not great because sometimes you do just drop out and start again. So maybe make it a bit longer. It shouldn't kill anyone, I hope. So that said, really that was my only big gripe with the game. There are a few little niggles here and there which I did put into my full review, but overall the impression was of a very polished game that was very well thought out, very well planned, and delivered beautifully. It's not the longest game, but with the multiplayer elements and the huge chance elements and the great amount of cards and characters that are available, even now at version 1.0, it is just a great game and well worth the $20 or so, or your regional equivalent, of course. And so I'd wholeheartedly recommend it. I did give it an 8.5 in my review, so if you do want to look at the review, I have put the link in the description. You can find me at the narrative within nmbc.blogspot.com. So guys, that's all really for my video on Armello. I will be doing videos whenever I review a game if I think it actually needs some video time to perhaps demonstrate a concept in the game a bit better, because sometimes, as I said at the start, the written word cannot express it quite as efficiently. I wanted to, for example, demonstrate the combat in this because writing about it wasn't the best way to do it, I felt. And then looking at the cards, you know, I can say, oh, they're subtly animated in my written review, but it's best to just actually have it there and visible. And also because in the review I pointed out that it's a very intuitive user interface, and just by looking at this video you can see how intuitive it really is. So top marks there to League of Geeks, and I've been Sagrannus. This has been I Muse about Armello. I'll catch you next time. Thanks guys.